We're holding today the sign called Cancer, Sartan in Hebrew. For those of you who have been following from the very beginning, the very first lecture on astrology consisted of the various elements. Elements meaning earth, water, air, and fire. Every individual, every human being consists of all four, but there's always a dominant element. And there are 3 signs in every one of those elements. Right? We have 12 signs, 3 signs per element. And the water element is much more into the feelings and the emotions, which we haven't covered until now, because that belongs strictly to the water element. And that's important because you will come across in your life with those who are extremely sensitive, sentimental, dependent, attached, shy. All of these qualities belong with the water element. Now, just because you may be a fire sign and you may say, but I'm also a little bit shy, it's not a contradiction. Because it could be that there's something in that chart, in your mazal, that is a bit of shyness. But you will not be the typical shy individual as the Pisces or as the Cancer is, as I will elaborate a little bit later on. So it's important to keep this in mind, because we all have a combination of the various elements in us, but there will always be one that is the strongest. Cancer is a very interesting sign. He's, as I said before, the first one that belongs to the water element. And water is a very, very interesting element, because all of us will somewhat identify with the beauty that water is. But remember, just because we like what we hear, not everyone has doses of it. And when you don't have doses of water, you can be very, very cold. An individual can be extremely cold, uninterested, indifferent, not generous, everything that is the opposite of what the water element represents. So it's important to have a little bit of everything. But tonight we're going to be talking about one who has extra abundance, or lots of, this particular water element. Just a quick description of what Cancer is. He's emotional. So is Pisces and Scorpio. They're all water. What is emotional? They're very loving, they're very caring, they have a lot of imagination, they can be very intuitive. And they're more cautious, protective, sympathetic. That is all on the positive side. On the negative side, what the water can do to an individual is make him moody, very moody sometimes, changeable, over-emotional, touchy, clinging, dependent, unable to let go. These are some of the characteristics, or a brief description of Cancer. Now we're going to get a little bit more deeply involved into the actual personality of Cancer on a day-to-day basis, as a human being, as a parent, as a husband, as a child. So it's very interesting. Let's begin with his moods. He's a water element, so he has periodic moods. Now the reason why he has periodic moods is because Cancer is ruled by the moon. Astrologers like to describe his moods like the waning of the moon. Decreases, increases. The moods change almost every day, or at least once a week. And these moods are very noticeable. When they're in a good mood, they can be very funny. If you hear somebody laughing, as long as it's not too loud, because if it's too loud, it could be a Leo. But if you hear somebody laughing or always with a giggle, it's a Cancer in a good mood. He can be the funniest in the room. He can make everybody laugh. Now this is not the laughter or the humor of a Gemini. This is a much more sincere laughter, a giggle, a laughter that comes from a certain sensitivity to human nature. Otherwise, he's usually quiet and gentle. Cancer people are usually quiet and gentle. Their funny side stems from sensitivity. They're not looking for publicity like Leo. They're not clowns like Sagittarius. They're simply sensitive. They may want to be noticed too. As we will see later, Cancer is one of the signs that craves or needs attention. And that somehow may be related to that laughter in public, even though, as we will see later, they're a little bit on the shy side, but they have a certain light side to them, which makes them laugh and giggle, which is good. You will see later on why this is very good, that they have this to them. I'll give you a clue. They're very moody. And what does moody lead to? Depression. So it's a very positive thing that they also have this light side to them, that they can laugh. Secretly, they need and enjoy attention. They may hide from certain things, but not from appreciation. They need it. They need to be appreciated. Everybody likes compliments, but Cancer, Pisces too, need lots of it. At times, they get into a melancholic mood and depression. So does Scorpio, so does Pisces, right? But it is more noticeable on Cancer. Why do they go into a depression? We have to understand this. We have to take this one step further. What's the big deal? Why do people become depressed? Are they not confident in themselves? Not Cancer. Cancer can be very confident of himself. When is he not confident of himself? When he has certain fears. The problem with Cancer is that many of his fears are imaginative. They're not real. He's really fearful about certain things. They have fears, and these fears keep nagging at them. And they need to overcome those fears. If he cries, they're not crocodile tears. They're really coming from the heart. It's a heart that is very vulnerable, very sensitive, easily hurt. So they are going to need some assurances in order to calm down and not be depressed. His feelings are easily hurt by someone's rough tone of voice or by a harsh glance. Somebody looks at them not the right way or speaks to them roughly, they're already insulted. It hurts them very much. Now, some people might have a thicker skin and it may not hurt them as much, but some of them are very sensitive. Even something slight of a perceived insult or harshness, it very much hurts them. Now, what happens when a Cancer is hurt, really hurt? He disappears. He goes into hiding. Some of them may retaliate secretly, not as much as Scorpio, but most of the time they will just hide and not get even. If you hurt him, you will not be able to reach him easily. He will not answer the phone, go to the door, or look at his mail. You know what a Cancer is? A Cancer is a crab. Have you ever seen a crab? It's not kosher, by the way. The crab has a hard shell, but inside it's very soft. The core is very soft. So he will go hide in his shell, and you won't be able to reach him. In the midst of sadness or despair, they seek retreat and solitude. You have to understand him or her. If that's what they're doing, they just don't want to be seen or heard, it's because they're very, very sad, they're in despair, they just want to be alone by themselves. Now, this is not